Hello guys, once again it's Matt, and today we have another video. Thank you all the members, all the patrons. Make sure to subscribe. We are trying to hit 50,000 subscribers until the end of the year, so help me out there and let's go guys. We have another video of those that we did before. We're going to talk about the future of a specific basically any specific tech tree, right? And today we're going to talk about the Israelis, a very short one, but there is a lot of aircraft in the future that can be added, which is pretty cool. And rank 5, rank 6, there isn't much to be added, to be honest. Even in rank 7, I mean, there might be some different versions of a specific aircraft, etc. But overall, there isn't much to be added. The big part about additions for the Israelis will come in rank 8, as you see over here. So let's talk about that. Let's start with the left to the right and talk about all the options that we would see here. First of all, F16A nets, block 10, we already have it, so nothing else to say about it. F16B nets, block 15 OCU. So these would be very similar to what we see or have in the block 15's ADFs for other nations, but with an air-to-ground basically addition too. So it is more similar to the MLU even. Being an OCU model that they used, it is very similar to the normal block 15s, but it has the wider HUD from the F16Cs. It could carry the M120s as well as the M9Ls, Python 3s, Sparrows. But remember, these aircraft were actually used as bombers or CAS aircraft, not fighters in real life. So they normally would never use BVR missiles, normally. AGM, 65s and other air-to-ground guided bombs and unguided stuffs too would be the main reason and the main mission of these aircraft, right? The Israelis actually got these in the 90s, and it's really hard to find information on them, but it's the thing about it is that there were a lot of Bs on these editions, and with the Bs we have a two-seater version, so that would be very cool to have it. It would just be a very similar aircraft as the MLU, but with the extra guy on the back and without the Raider upgrade for the V3, right? So we would use the F16C V2. It is kind of funny that these aircraft actually, me and Lazy, which is one of our moderators in the Discord, we were actually discussing it, how these aircraft actually have a lot of mystery behind it, because on the official notes that we normally see in the internet, we don't see any Block 15s being added. But there's a lot of photos out there with the Block 15 flying with the Israeli flag, which is kind of weird, right? So yeah, it is there in the photos, so we know that it's a Block 15 OCU. In the 90s it got them, and just an overall very similar aircraft to the other ADFs or even the MLU, but with a biplaced configuration on the cockpit, which is very, very cool. After that, the F16C Barak, or the initial version, at least the Block 30. It is a normal Block 30, so yeah, you have the complete redesign of the cockpit, the larger HUD, a better radar, the APG-68, with around 60 kilometers of a range, right, for a 3 meter squared target. High PRF mode, so high pulse repetition frequency modes, TWS, so it would be a very, very good radar compared to the A's. Can be used with 2 Sparrows, A9s, of course, later Python 3s. Also, obviously, from the get-go, actually, Python 3s. But obviously also M120s and stuff like that. The same goes for every F16. They were used more to the air-to-ground role, but they can do air-to-air as well. So they can add it without or with the BVR missiles. I think it would be cool to see with the missiles, because these aircraft would be fighters in the game, but still, you know. And the main thing, one of the main things is that it is a Block 30, so it uses the more powerful in the afterburner GE F110 engine, which is interesting to see a different one. Overall, it would be very similar to the Block 30 added for the US, for example, if it's ever added. So that would be it. The F16C Block 40 Barak would be basically the same kind of 30 that we'd see, So same engine, same radar and stuff. But also, I mean, just a normal Block 40 compared to the American standard. So the main thing was night ops over here. It's even called the Night Falcon, if I'm not mistaken, because it has more thermals or better thermals, better night vision systems, HUD with night visions, even night vision goggles and stuff. It was one of the first ones that actually used the dash helmet. So, and it was one of the first to actually, I mean, probably Block 30 was the first one, but still one of the first that used the an HMD in real life, not an HMS, which is the principle of the MiG-29, for example. It is an HMD, so it has more information. It's the whole helmet, not just an aiming sight, and also a little bit more advanced. But that would be pretty much it. I mean, it could be even like in a bracket maybe or something like that, because it would be basically the same aircraft, but with better air-to-ground sensors, basically, to see stuff at night and stuff like that, right? And then we go for the F16C Barak. We chose the D variant because indeed it is a little bit different from the other nations as well. Being a Block 52, remember, they use the Block 52, not the 50. It uses the normal PW F100 engine. It is a better version and more reliable than the original F16A ones, but it is a different engine from these two, so technically it has less power on the afterburner. But it's still a good engine, you know, it's just overall very good. Improved radar, overall better avionics, better nav systems like GPS systems and INS together with that being integrated, right? So yeah, it wouldn't change too much beyond the engine, right? And the B-place, you know. But the thing is that these could later got the Python 4 as well. I mean, even the Block 40 could carry the Python 4, but the thing would be to maybe have a difference over here to have these more advanced missiles. So yeah, overall it would be just a heavier one with a less powerful engine in the afterburner, but with more advanced systems. So yeah, maybe even the same BR as the Block 40, right? And then the last F-16, the F-16I Sufa. It is also a two-seat Block 52 version, so very similar to the D variant. But it has some modifications done to it, like 50% of the avionics are domestically built, which is cool, even using the HUD from the Israelis. HMD, obviously, dash. It uses also the Python 5 missiles, also has the CFT, so it has more range, you know. Still, the objective is to be an attacker or bomber, right? But in theory, obviously, I guess you could carry him on 20s, derbies, and stuff like that. But it's just more in theory because normally you wouldn't in real life. So yeah, also using the APG-68 V9, which is one of the most advanced versions of that, and the same engine as the F-15I, so the F100 PW229. So it has a more common engine to the Israeli force, right? So yeah, very cool. Remember, these are more attackers, but still, they can be added as fighters as well. So very cool, a lot of F-16s, I mean, 6 F-16s, Jesus Christ, 7 with this one. So yeah, but it's just the aircraft that they have to be added, right? Then we go for kind of the heavy fighter here, kind of became the heavy fighter or the main force. So here of fighters, interceptors, right? So the Kurunas 2000, which was already added. And then we go for the F-15A Bass. So the Bath is basically the same F-15A that the US AF used. So same missiles, entered in service around 1977. So it could carry the AIM-7F, AIM-9L. After a little bit, some years there, the Python 3. So yeah, just an overall F-15, nothing else to say. It would have a better radar than the F-16s, you know, a little bit more range. And more missiles overall, but that's pretty much it. A cool factor about the Israeli F-15s is that I don't know if it was from the get-go or only the C. I have to check it. It's probably just the C, but the reprogrammable part of the CPU of these aircraft were installed. As I said, I don't know if it was before or after or on the MSIP upgrade or something like that. But I know at some point these things were reprogrammable, right? meaning that they can be added, be used as an air-to-ground weapon as well. There are some pictures of F-15Ds, for example, or even Cs using air-to-ground bombs. So yeah, that would be very interesting to see as well. And talking about Cs and Ds, the F-15C, I mean, it would be just overall very similar to the American C as well. So the main thing is that it had more reliability in real life, right? So yeah, that's the main thing. But it had also some other additions, CFTs and other stuff like that, better radars eventually, and other systems like that. So I don't know, we need to check exactly what types of weapons that it can use, better versions of the Sparrow, better versions of the AIM-9, better versions of the Python, stuff like that could be added for this one. And then we go for the F-15I RAM, which is Raham or something like that, I don't know, but it is a very interesting one actually. It is a two-seater version of the F-15, similar to the D variant, but it is used very similarly to an F-15E Strike Eagle. So it would be basically a multi-role aircraft with a two-seater. So the objective was to be mainly a interceptor / precision strike, stuff like that. It can be used for both of this stuff. So yeah, very, very cool aircraft. And it would use basically the most modern stuff out there for the Israelis. So Python 4s, 5s, Derby ERs, and other missiles like that. So Fox 3s and stuff. So it would be a very, very advanced version of it. I think the F-15C could carry also that, the Derbys and stuff, but I have to check it. Initially, yeah, most likely, yes. Initially, of course, just Sparrows, but later you can get other stuff. And then, obviously, you would end the tech tree with the F-35s. Not much to talk about the F-35s. They are very, very much classified aircraft, right? So the F-35A that they bought, apparently is just the normal F-35A. But also the F-35I that they are planning to build in the future that will have systems for the Israelis. Until that those things are added to real life, they can be added maybe for the War Thunder as well. Of course, these are very, very far from now, so don't worry, I'm not saying the F-35 should be added right now, but it is an interesting prospect to just analyze that and consider that these things could be added, right? Then we can have the premiums and event vehicles. The Kafir C10 late could be a very interesting one to have as a premium. It would be a very advanced Kafir, he had even the capability of using Fox 3 missiles. So this should be added like very late in the tech tree, right? So yeah, obviously this is the version that would be used with the Equatorian or Colombian skin, for example, and very advanced missiles. Even from 2007, for example, they are able to fire Python 5s and Derby ER, so very, very advanced. It has a pulse-double radar. It is even being cogitated to have an upgrade done to it to use an IASA radar. I don't know where those negotiations are. Maybe it was already cancelled, I don't know. But still, very, very advanced version of the Kafir C7, and it can be added initially with just normal missiles, IR missiles and stuff, maybe later getting these more advanced stuff. And the Kafir C7 early would be basically the same, but the idea here would be using earlier weapon systems, but also using Israeli skins. This would be the ideal for an event vehicle, such as to have a test squadron version of the Kafir C7. Remember, these aircraft were produced in the Israeli soil, but it was sold and they are export aircraft, so yeah. And then the last one, another event vehicle, it can be a premium as well, we don't know yet, but it is basically an F-16A with the Alta Raider. So not much to talk about it here, but we would be basically the same as the other Nazis, but using an Alta Raider. They apparently didn't have enough APG-66s to implement in this aircraft in the production or something similar to that, and they had to just go find another Raider, and they decided to actually produce their own Raider. This 2021B Raider was, according to some sources, even used in the Kafir C7, but it's difficult to confirm that. So it would be just a very limited range, but Also very interesting Raider, similar to the APG-66 in some areas. So yeah, it could carry 9s and stuff, Sparrows. It will be very, very cool to see that, okay? But these are the future aircraft for the Israeli Tech 3 that I think they can be added. Not a lot, I know, but the Israeli Tech 3 will always be kind of smaller compared to the other ones, but it's still very fun and different versions of American aircraft, right? So very, very cool. But anyway, let me know if you like the video or not. Click the like button, subscribe, and I see you guys on the next one. Bye, guys.